Alright, before I show you the video I created to prove to Airbnb my side of things, I'll give you a quick recap for anyone who missed it. On Monday, December 4th, I was traveling from Vegas back east, and I stopped. I had a reservation for an Airbnb outside Denver in Federal Heights, Colorado. I walked in around 7:10 local time p.m. It looked like squatters were living there. It was a mess. There was mail, things were turned on, the windows were open. It looked like squatters were leaving and entering through the windows, and they weren't there at the time, but they were living there. I left, never did that before. This was like my 120th Airbnb reservation, never did it before. Went to a motel nearby and contacted Airbnb right away. The next day, the host claimed that I spent the night. The host also claimed I checked out late. It was an 11 a.m. checkout on December 5th. By that time, I was 300 miles away in Cozad, Nebraska, eating salmon that you've seen at the gas station. So I put this video together proving my side of things, and I sent it to Airbnb. Here's that video. This is what happened. I had an Airbnb reservation for Monday, December 4th in Federal Heights, Colorado. I had a room in a house. Check-in time was after 3 p.m. Checkout time was the next day, 11 a.m. on Tuesday, December 5th. At about 7:05 p.m. local time, which is Mountain Standard Time in Federal Heights, Colorado, I got to the house. I walked in. My room looked like it was being occupied by someone else. There were children's toys all over the room. There were clothes all over the room. There was mail on the dresser. There should be none of those things in a room for an Airbnb guest. I walked to the other side of the house. In the kitchen, things were on. The stove fan was on. The light above the stove was on. The kitchen was a mess. It looked like it had recently been used and someone left it a mess. I walked into the living room. Every single window in the living room was open. All the glass was open. There were screens in the windows, but the whole picture, it looked like squatters were occupying this house. It looked like they were getting in and out from the windows, just punching out the screen and replacing it afterwards, but keeping the glass open. It looked like they were using the kitchen and leaving it a mess, and it looked like people were living in the bedroom I was supposed to have for the night. I did not like the looks of that. It looked like squatters were living there, and I had no idea when they were coming back. Thankfully, no one was in there when I was in there. I was in the house for about 5 minutes. I left. I went to a nearby motel. I checked in for the night. I contacted Airbnb support as soon as I got in my room. So I was in the room around 7:30, 7:45 local time. At 7:53, I messaged Airbnb support saying I felt unsafe and I had to leave and I was in a motel. I messaged with them for a few minutes and they made it sound like the issue was about to be resolved. Like everything I was saying, they were believing. They had no reason not to, and the issue was about to be resolved. So I did some tasks I had. I thought someone else would get back to me from Airbnb. They didn't. I did some things I had to do. Time went by. Eventually I went to sleep. But here's the proof I have of what happened that night. Me being in the motel and my messages with Airbnb support. First, the messages with Airbnb support. These are the messages the night of check-in, right after I left that house. I was only in there for 5 minutes in the Airbnb house, and then I went to a motel, and then I started messaging Airbnb. So you see the date, December 4th, that was the check-in date. I did not take these screenshots until 2 days later when I started putting all this proof together. 2 days later, you can check my Airbnb reservation. I was in Mishawaka, Indiana. That's the Eastern time zone. So subtract 2 hours from all these times, and that is Mountain Standard Time, which is the local time in Federal Heights, Colorado. So at 7:53, I messaged Airbnb support, and Airbnb said, "Hi, let's get you some help." Because you can see there at the bottom, I had checked, "I feel unsafe." I also typed out, "I feel unsafe." There that is. And then I had some contact with Airbnb support. Eventually, I described what happened. I got inside, but felt unsafe. My room looked like someone else was living there. There was a bed and a bunk bed, lots of children's toys, mail on the dresser. The light above the stove was on. The fan above the stove was on. Nobody else was in the house, though. Every window in the living room was open. And I've stayed in about 100 Airbnbs and never felt unsafe like this, but this was dangerous. That was at 7:54 p.m. local time. Airbnb then said, "Thanks for taking the time to reach out." When Airbnb support used the word resolve, I thought this was over. Airbnb was believing me. It was just that this member of Airbnb support wasn't in a position to say case closed or wasn't in a position to send me my refund money. But I thought everything was believed, everything that I said, and the issue was over. Just someone else had to officially like close the case or officially click the right button to send me my refund money. Also, I have a YouTube channel, so I've been filming a lot this entire road trip since I left Nevada and I've been driving east. I was filming a lot Monday, December 4th. The part that's relevant for this is when I was in my motel room. It was 8:44 p.m. local time, Mountain Standard Time. I'm filming from inside my motel room. Here's that clip. All right, this is not an Airbnb. This is a motel. Got to the Airbnb. It was a hassle getting there. It was a hassle getting in the door. Some sketchy things in there. No one else was in there, but the things that were left on, the things that were not locked, just other things in the house, odd, very odd. I didn't like how it felt in there. So I left, told Airbnb about it. I'm confident I'll get a refund, although it hasn't happened yet. I left, always have backup plans, so took this backup plan. I'm nearby in a motel. So there's my proof of what happened that first night, Monday, December 4th. If you're wondering why I didn't take any pictures or video of inside the house, for one, I didn't think it was necessary. This was my 120th Airbnb reservation. I've never had a problem like this. I never went into a house and left. I have only good reviews from hosts. I thought Airbnb would just look at my reputation, look at all the reviews past hosts have left, and understand that I'm not making this up. I am a very good guest, and I wouldn't have left unless there was a very good reason to leave. I also didn't want to stay in that house any longer than I had to. Squatters were coming back at some point. I didn't want to be there when they got there. Also, Airbnb didn't tell me I would need proof. You saw those messages with Airbnb support. Airbnb support never said you're going to need video or picture proof. Go back and get some proof from inside that house. If Airbnb support told me that, I might have gone back. Might have not. I don't know. It was a pretty dangerous situation, but I might have gone back. If you're wondering why I didn't message the host about any of this, for one, I didn't want any contact with that host ever again. That host is either aware of what's going on and is trying to lure Airbnb guests into that house to get robbed or assaulted or worse, or she's so negligent she doesn't know squatters are living in her house. Either way, I didn't want anything to do with her. I wanted to just deal with Airbnb support. I thought Airbnb support would contact the host on my behalf. In the past, when hosts cancel reservations very close to the check-in date, that's what Airbnb support does. They listen and then they say, okay, don't contact the host anymore. I'll contact the host on your behalf and we'll see what happened, why the host is trying to cancel on you. So those are the reasons I didn't contact the host about any of this. I just wanted nothing to do with her, and Airbnb support didn't tell me to. And also why I don't have pictures or video from inside the house. I didn't think it was necessary. And again, Airbnb support didn't tell me to. So the host is not only claiming I spent the night, which I did not do. The host is also claiming that the 11 a.m. checkout, I stayed beyond 11 o'clock. She's claiming her and her cleaner are saying someone was in the house at 11, so the cleaner didn't go in. The person in the house did not leave until 11:46. That's what the host and the cleaner are saying. Someone was in the house at 11, still in the house after 11, finally left the house at 11:46. That's when the cleaner was able to go in and clean, and there is proof of the host and the cleaner admitting this. Here is that proof. Okay, this is the proof the host uploaded that I was there and I checked out late. This is a screenshot of a text message between her and her cleaner. So there, it's tough to see, but it says at 1:40 p.m. local time, the cleaner texted the host saying, I just got done, that guy is still there, or I think means was still there. Then the host says checkout is 11 and he owes a $20 late fee if he was there beyond that. And then the cleaner says he left at 11:46. But I will prove to you my whereabouts that entire day, Tuesday, December 5th. I started at 6 a.m. in the motel parking lot, and 8 hours later, I was in my next Airbnb in Omaha, Nebraska. I was filming for my YouTube channel. I have video proof of all of this. All the video clips are timestamped. Let me show you everything. So here is a folder containing my video files from that day, my road trip on December 5th. So here, you can see the date and time. My camera is in Mountain Standard Time, which is local time for Federal Heights, Colorado. Date, December 5th. It was Tuesday. It was the day of checkout, had I stayed there. Time, 5:59 a.m. You can also see what I titled the clip, Colorado to Nebraska, Part 1. Here, I opened the clip and took a quick screenshot showing you that the title on the bottom left is the same, Colorado to Nebraska Part 1. This is the clip that was filmed at 5:59 a.m. Now let me play a little bit of the clip for you. Alright, 5:57 a.m. Mountain Time. Going to be moving to Central Time today, and that's about it. Very cold out here. Frost on the car, so it's warming up. If it is not this freezing in like 3.5 hours when I stop, I have quite the interesting hors d'oeuvre to eat on the side of the interstate. This is another clip from that day. It's the next clip I filmed. You see the date, December 5th, Tuesday. You see the time, 6:14 a.m. What did I title it? Colorado to Nebraska Part 2. And here I opened up the video, and there on the bottom left is that same title, Colorado to Nebraska Part 2. Let me show you what I was doing at about 6:15 a.m. that morning. Alright, since it's freezing, lost a little air pressure, needed to fill the tires up, and at least this one works. In Nebraska, it would have been free. Pennsylvania would have been free and worked. Vegas and New York, they cost money and they don't work. The next video clip that's relevant is the fifth clip I filmed that day. You see the date, December 5th, Tuesday, 8:53 a.m. And you see what I titled it, Colorado to Nebraska Part 5. Here is when I opened the video file, and you see on the left, same video file, Colorado to Nebraska Part 5. Before I play the clip for you, I want to point out, I am pointing the camera at the GPS in my car to show my viewers where I am. Here, it says the turnoff off of I-80 that I'm going to need is exit 445. So the turnoff is 445 miles east of the Colorado-Nebraska border. I still have 328 miles to go. That means I'm only 117 miles east of the Colorado-Nebraska border at this point. But that's nowhere near Federal Heights, Colorado. So if you wanted to check, am I really 117 miles east of the Colorado-Nebraska border at 8:53 that morning? On the GPS, you also see the small village of Brule, Nebraska. Google where Brule, Nebraska is. You'll see that it's 117 miles east of the Colorado-Nebraska border. I was very far from Federal Heights, Colorado at 8:53 a.m. the morning of checkout. About 10-15 minutes ago, I crossed from Colorado into Nebraska, and I-76 ended. It became I-80, and at that point there were 341 miles on the top left, now 328. So just on this road until I get in the Omaha area. The next clip that's relevant is the sixth clip from that day. So you can see there's the date, again, Tuesday, December 5th. There's the time, 10:41 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. This is 19 minutes before the 11 a.m. checkout for that reservation. So I named it Colorado to Nebraska, Part 6. And then I opened up the video file, and there you can see this is that video file, Colorado to Nebraska Part 6. Now let me play you the beginning of that clip. Alright, what's going on? I am in Cozad, C-O-Z-A-D, Nebraska, about 222 miles east of the Colorado-Nebraska border. Here is the final clip from that day that is relevant. So you see the same date, Tuesday, December 5th, the time, 2:10 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I named the clip Colorado to Nebraska Part 9. Here is me opening the clip, and you can see on the bottom left, Colorado to Nebraska Part 9. This is me when I arrived at my Omaha Airbnb, 540 miles away from the Federal Heights Airbnb. Let me show you part of that clip. Alright, it's like 3:10, got here pretty early. Been here before, so there's not going to be any problem with the house. I was here on the way going out west in January, exact same house. So, and here is some math. So on the left you see Federal Heights, where the Airbnb was on Monday. On the right you see Omaha, which is where my next Airbnb was. And this is the route I took, the dark blue line. It's about 540 miles without stopping. It takes about 7 hours and 50 minutes. So the host is claiming I checked out late, and I checked out at 11:46 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Well, I told you could ask my Omaha host what time I got to her house, because the check-in instructions there are I knock on the door and she opens the door, and that's what happened. She opened the door for me at 2:10 p.m. Mountain Time, which is 3:10 p.m. local time in Omaha, Nebraska. The difference is 2 hours and 24 minutes. As a decimal, 2.4 hours. 540 miles to go that far in 2.4 hours means I would need to be driving my car 225 miles per hour, which is not possible. I was not in Colorado at 11:46 a.m. Mountain Standard Time checking out late. I didn't spend the night there at all. I for sure wasn't there checking out late at 11:46. So, as far as the late checkout fee goes, the host wants me to pay an extra $20. I've proven I left the city around 6 o'clock. I've proven I was crossing into Nebraska at 8:43. I've proven that I was in Cozad, Nebraska at 10:41. Checkout was 11 o'clock. I was 305 miles away in Cozad, Nebraska at the time of checkout. And with math and with the help of my Omaha Airbnb host, who knows when I walked into her house, it was impossible for me to be in Denver at 11:46 and then be in Omaha at 2:10. The late checkout fee I should not need to pay. As far as the refund I want for the night, $55.29, I want that back. That's what I had to pay for this reservation. I didn't spend the night there. I have video of myself in the motel the night of check-in because I didn't want to stay in that house. It was too scary. I left. I got a motel room. I have video of myself the next day at 6 a.m. leaving from the parking lot. I have video at 6:15 at the gas station putting air in my tires. I did not spend the night there. As far as proof on how dangerous that house was, I didn't take pictures or video while I was in the house. I had reason to get out of there as quickly as I could. But if you want proof that house is dangerous, the host and the cleaner are admitting it. They admit somebody was in that house at 11 o'clock and then emerged from that house at 11:46. That's when the cleaner went in to clean. I've proven around that time I was 300 miles away in Cozad, Nebraska. They think the person who was in that house was me. It was not. There was someone in that house and they don't know who it was. That's what I thought when I went in there, that squatters were illegally occupying that house. They just happened not to be there at that minute that I walked in, but I didn't know if and when they were going to return. The host and the cleaner are admitting there is someone that they cannot identify who was in that house the morning I was supposed to be waking up and checking out. That is the proof that that was a scary situation and I was right to leave. So I don't want to pay the $20 late fee. I want my $55.29 back, and that listing should be deleted. That is a danger to all potential Airbnb guests who might think they want to stay in that house. So there you have it. I didn't need to pay the late checkout. I also got my money refunded. I said initially I was only gonna show the video if things didn't work out, and if things did, I was just gonna tell you things worked out, I got my refund, but that's not really fair to only focus on it if Airbnb did something that didn't make sense. So before I even got the resolution, I decided I was gonna show that video regardless of the solution. Airbnb did things that made sense and resolved it.